Hello, dear students. I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rangjon classes. Dear student, we are in a continuation of the chapter that is Organism and Population of class 12th in the unit Ecology. And in the previous class, we have already talked about some population interactions like competition, predation, parasitism, and some other population interaction between the two species, which we are going to discuss in today's lecture, that are mutualism, protocooperation, then commensalism and amensalism. We are going to discuss them one by one with their examples. Okay. So let's discuss first mutualism. If you talk about a mutualism, mutual relationship, mutual means what? It is beneficial to both the interacting species, then we call it as a mutual or mutually benefit association. So it confers benefits to both the interacting species. Both the interacting species are going to benefit it. This mutualism, it is considered as an obligate association of two organisms, of two different species. Okay, obligate means compulsory or permanent, and in which each species derives the benefit from the other. Each species is going to get the benefit from the other. That is mutualism. In mutualism, two organisms often live together. Oftenly they are seen together and they can't live separately because it is an obligate or permanent association. And the two organisms may be plant. These two interacting species can be plant, can be animal, or one plant and other animal. Such association can be seen. So if we talk about some of the examples, we will come to know that in mutualism, first if we take an example of mutualism between plant and plant, then we can take an example of lichen. You know that in lichen, algae and fungus association is seen. It is actually plant fungus association, we can say. Okay, we can call it as a plant fungus mutualism. So this algal fungal association lichen, it is a mutualistic relationship between fungus and the photosynthetic green algae, or we can say a cyanobacteria. We call in algae algal partner as a phycobiont and a fungal partner phycobiont. Okay. Algae produces a food through the photosynthesis, whereas fungi absorb nutrient from the soil and provide it to the algae. Such mutually they seem to be associated. Apart from this, another example we will see, that is a mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is also a mutualistic relationship between of a fungus to the roots of higher plant. And here fungus again increases the surface area of absorption and absorb essential nutrient from the soil, while the plant in turn provide energy yielding carbohydrate or photosynthetic to the fungi, because fungi are totally heterotrophic. So this is also a particular plant fungus relationship, we can say. Why it is considered in the plant and plant? We can call plant and fungus relation, but plant and plant, why? Because we can say that initially fungus was considered to be a power plant in according to Linnaeus. Then rhizobium, if we talk, that is a nitrogen fixing symbiotic bacteria which shows symbiotic association with the root nodules of legume and carry out nitrogen fixation. So that is also a mutualistic association between plant and plant. Because initially this bacteria was also considered to be plant. Apart from this, if we talk about a mutualism between plant and animal, here if we take an example of green algae, that is chlorella. Now chlorella vulgaris, that is an endosymbiont that is found to be associated symbiotically in the gastrodermal cells of hydra. Okay, so this is what a particularly plant and animal symbiotic association. Apart from this, one of the known important examples, that is a plant pollinator relationship. We know that some insects or some animals pollinate the particular specific plant, and sometimes it's one-to-one co-evolutionary relationship, and in that co-evolution also occur. So if we take a examples like fig and wasp relation, or fries and colpa relation, and yucca and pronuba moth relation, these all are a plant pollinator relationship, where fig plant is pollinated by the wasp, or fries pollinated by the colpa, and the yucca is pollinated by the pronuba relation, pronuba moth. So in this mutualism, if we talk fig and fig wasp mutualism, it is a tight one-to-one relationship. Okay. And apart from this, orchid and bees, okay, that particular evolution, or we can say interaction, is seen. Apart from this, if we talk about the mutualism between animal and animal, then protozoan trichonympha is that's found in the gut of termites. So both are the animals, and in that particular symbiotic association is seen of the protozoan trichonympha, where this trichonympha protozoan helps in cellular digestion in the gut of termites, whereas the return gets shelter. That's particularly gets shelter in the protozoan gut. So it is an animal mutualism. So these are the examples. In this, we have to understand plant pollinator relationship in very detailed manner. So here, if we talk about plant pollinator, if we talk here, there is a plant animal mutualism. And in plant animal mutualism, if we talk about a plant, then plant need help of animal, need help of animal for zoophily and zoochory. If we talk about a zoophily, zoophily is nothing but it is a pollination of flowers by animals. Then it is known as zoophily. And another is the zoochory. If we talk about a zoochory, it is a pollination, or not pollination, it is a dispersal of seed. It is a dispersal of seed by animals. Okay, so here such things occur, and in this, when this animal helps the plant also provide a reward. So plant offer a reward in form of pollen, and nectar for pollination, for pollinators which carry out pollination. So during pollination, plant will offer a pollen and nectar, whereas plant offer juicy and nutritious fruits for seed dispersals. So for seed dispersals, the plant will offer a juicy and nutritious fruit. So such interaction occur between the animal and the plants for this pollination and the seed dispersal. Now, plant animal interaction involve coevolution. And coevolution is an evolutionary mechanism where a change of a biological object is triggered by the change of the related object. Means if plant shows some change, similarly animal will also evolve and change in them to continue their particular this mechanisms of pollination and the zoochory. And it is also considered as the evolution of the flower and its pollinator species are tightly linked with one another. We remember evolution of flower and its pollinator species and its pollinator species are tightly linked with one another. And in this, first, if we understand one example, then we take an example of fig and fig wasp. Now, in this, what happened? There is a tight one-to-one relationship with the pollinator species wasp and a many species of fig trees. It means that for each fig species there occur a partner wasp species without which pollination cannot occur. So in fig species without fig wasp, the pollination is not going to be continued. So now here what happens, the female wasp uses fig fruit as an oviposition, or we can say egg laying site, and developing seeds, that is a oviposition or egg laying site, and developing seeds provide in turn nourishment to wasp larva. So here this wasp pollinates the fig inflorescence while searching for the suitable egg laying site. So while the female wasp is searching for the egg laying site, it will put their egg, okay, and in turn it will get some pollen grain in it. It will interact with the another fig plant, and during this it will lay its particular pollen grain from one fig plant to the another fig plant. Such a way the pollination is in fig and fig wasp. The another example, one of the known, that is a orchid and bees example. So to ensure a guaranteed pollination while attracting the right pollinator insect, that is the bees and bubbles, see, orchid have evolved a bewildering diversity of floral pattern. Orchid has a bewildering or changed, we can say, floral patterns. And here pollinator insects are the bees and the bumblebees. Actually here bees and bumblebees are there. So like fig, which we have discussed now, all orchids do not offer rewards to their insect pollinator. All orchids do not offer reward to their insect pollinator. And for this, if we take an example, it is known that Mediterranean orchid is there whose name is Ophrys. And it is known that Ophrys employ or it show sexual deceit mechanism to get pollination done by bees. So now in this sexual deficit mechanism, we can also call this sexual deficit as a pseudo copulation. And in sexual deceit, what happens? One petal, one petal of its flower bear uncanny, uncanny resemblance to female of bee in size, color, and markings. Okay, so here the petal of its flower bear an uncanny appearance. It will show resemblance. The one petal of the flower show resemblance with the female, and it will look like female in size, look like a female bee like in a size, color, and marking. So now what happens? The male bee perceive it or understand that this petal is nothing but a female bee. So it resembles or it perceive this modified petal as female bee and get dusted with and get dusted with pollen from the flowers during the process of during the process of pseudocopulation. So male bee perceive this modified petal as a female bee and get dusted with pollen from the flowers. Okay. So this petal will, when female bee will interact with this petal, which is looking like the female, so it will get a pollen from that particular orchid plant, and when it reaches to the another orchid plant, it will provide this pollen, and this pollination will occur, and this is known as pseudo copulation event because actually copulation is not occurring, but it is a copulation like event. And when same bee having a dusted pollen pseudo copulates the another flower, it transfers pollen to it and thus pollinates the flower. Okay, such thing happen. And this significance of the correlation can be understood here. Can be understood here, and it is shown that if female bee change its color pattern slightly, then similarly, if females show change in color pattern, then orchid flower co-evolve to maintain resemblance of its petal, resemblance of its petal to female bee. Okay, so such a way the mutualism occur. So this is all examples of mutualism which we have discussed. Now we are going to understand similar to the mutualism another event, that is the proto-cooperation. Now in mutualism what we have understood, it is an obligate association, means they have to be permanently associated to carry out this pollination, this particular mutualism. But this proto-cooperation, if we talk, it is a non-obligatory interaction. It is a non-obligatory interaction means when between the two organisms of different species this interaction occur in which both are mutually benefited to each other but can easily live separately. But in mutualism what we have studied, they cannot live separately. But in proto-cooperation, if the two species are interacting, they are benefiting each other, and each of which is benefited by the presence of other but can live equally well without association. So if we talk about such examples of the proto-cooperation, first we take an example of the two birds. So let's take understand this first example, and this example of the birds. Okay, here if we take a two birds, they are named the red-billed oxpecker and the yellow-billed oxpecker. They are the oxpecker actually, and there are two types: red-billed, their bill is red colored, and the yellow-billed. Now this particularly oxpecker sit on the back of black rhinoceros and feed on the ticks. So they feed on the ticks and other parasites sticking on the skin of the black rhinoceros, and they make this rhinoceros free or relieve him from the parasite. In turn, the birds sitting on the rhinoceros for feeding on a ticks and etc. also warn the animal approaching danger. So birds are warning the rhinoceros for the danger, and that's how the rhinoceros get benefited, and the birds on other side get a food. So both the partners are benefited, but they can live separately as well. So it is an example of proto cooperation, and that is the first example. Now here the birds are not only benefiting the animals, but themselves are benefited too, as the animal is providing food, that is sticks etc. to the birds. So this is an example of proto cooperation, as the birds have no close association with the animal. It just visit him occasionally for a feeding. Okay. Now, if we talk about another example, second example is of proto cooperation is literal between the plover bird and the crocodile. Okay, plover bird is also called as the crocodile bird, and the crocodile is there. Now, what happens? The crocodile bird or plover bird enters the open mouth. When the mouth of the crocodile is open, that time it visits the mouth and feed on the leeches which are attached to the lining of the buttal cavity of this crocodile. So when the mouth is open of crocodile, when the mouth is open, this time the particularly bird is going to visit and immediately it takes the leeches and go out. So the bird not only getting a benefit from the animal by getting the food, but helps the animal, that is the crocodile, in getting rid of the leeches which are sucking its parasite. And these leeches are the blood parasite. Okay, so blood sucking parasite are removed from the crocodile mouth, and crocodile bird plover is getting benefited, but they do not live permanently association with each other. So they are happy to live separately as well. So this is an example of proto cooperation. After this, if we take a third example, the third example is the association between the sea anemone and the hermit crab. And it is also taken as an example of protocooperation in which sea anemone attached to the snail cell. Okay. Now, the sea anemone is sedentary and can move from one place to another using the snail's smell. So, sea anemone attached to the body of hermit crab and protect the hermit crab from the enemies by the sea anemone having a tentacles. So, sea anemone protect the hermit crab with its nematocytes. In return, the anemone receives a pieces of food. Okay, what here going to happen? The sea anemone get or receives pieces of food dropped by crab and is carried to and is carried to new place, right? So such a way the association happens in this. So this is all three examples are of the proto cooperation. Okay, now after this, if we take the next interaction, then it is a commensalism. In this, one is going to be benefited and it is a neither beneficial nor harmful for the another. Then it is known as commensalism. So it is an interaction between the two organisms of the different species, benefiting only one species. The other species is neither benefited nor harmed. Because of this, we have written zero. Now, one species is getting benefited. So the species which is getting benefited is termed as commensal, and the other species which is not getting harmed or not benefited, that is host. Now, this commensalism is observed in the diverse type of animals and even in plants. Okay, and if we talk this example, the first example we are going to talk about the pilot fish. It is known that the pilot fish, that is a remora, always accompanies a shark with the purpose of feeding upon small pieces of food falling off when the shark is tearing its prey. So when shark is cutting off or tearing its prey or eating its prey, it relieves some of the pieces of food, and that will be used by this pilot fish, that is remora. Now here the fish is not attached to the shark any at any time. Okay, but it accompany, it is found near about. In such a way, this particular pilot fish get food. So here the shark is not getting benefited, not getting harmed, for zero for that. But remora is getting the food, so it is a plus interaction for remora. Now after this, if we take another example, the another example is of the suckerfish. And suckerfish is attached to the underside of the shark. It is attached. Actually, if this is a shark, here this is found to be attached like this. Okay, that is a suckerfish. It getting a free ride and occasionally detaching itself when the latter, or we can say shark, is cutting its prey to feed upon small pieces of food. Okay, so here this suckerfish detach itself when the latter, means shark, is capture its prey to feed upon the small pieces of food. Okay, at that time it is going to get a food. So here one is getting benefited, there is no harm, no benefit to the shark, so it is a plus zero interaction. Apart from this, jackals are there and Arctic foxes are there that follow lions and seals respectively for feeding upon the left out food pieces by the predators. That is the lions and seals. So such a way we can say the jackals and Arctic foxes are getting food, so they are positive interaction for them. But lions and seals are not getting benefited, not getting harmed, so this is zero interaction. Apart from this, barnacle, that is a balanus barnacle, is there, which is growing on the back of the whale's body, not getting any benefit from its except shelter. Okay, so here barnacle growing on the back of the whale benefit in the form of shelter, but will remain unaffected. So for whale it is zero interaction, and for barnacle it is a plus interaction. Okay. Now apart from this, the next example is of epiphytes. And epiphytes attach to the other plant but not getting anything from the host. They are considered as space parasite. They are not going to get any food or any mineral or anything from the particular host plant, but they get attached for the just space purpose. So they are green, these epiphytes are green and nutritionally independent, means they can synthesize their own food, and they have a special hygroscopic root which are known as epiphytic root, which can absorb a water present in the atmosphere in the form of vapor. So it has a particular tissues and which are known as velamen tissues in their root, that is hygroscopic or epiphytic roots, which have a capacity to absorb moisture from the atmosphere. So they get shelter only from the host, and they are able to get proper sunlight for photosynthesis by growing on a higher branches of the tree in thick forest. So here these epiphytes, if we talk, these epiphytes are space parasite. An example, if we take, then it is orchid, which is growing on the plant like mango and get its benefit in the form of shelter, but host neither drives any apparent benefit nor it's get him harm. So if we talk about example, orchid growing on mango, and mango is a host. Okay. Now after this next example we take of birds, that is the cattle irrigates. Cattle irrigates are the bird which forage or which search close to where they are found, close to where cattle are grazing. Because when cattle move on the soil, what they will do while walking or by searching the particular for grazing, cattle are grazing, they will walk on the soil and stir up and flush out from the vegetation insects. Because when they will walk, they will flush out some of the soil, and along with soil some vegetation insects will come out. Otherwise might be difficult for the irrigates or the birds to find and catch. So when a cattle is walking, it is removing soil from the which is flushing soil backside, and along with that some insects are coming outside, that insects are fed by these cattle irrigates. So cattle irrigates are getting benefited and these cattle are not getting benefited, not harm, so zero interaction for the cattle. Now apart from this, the next example is of a sea anemone, and sea anemone has a stinking tentacles that protect a clownfish living among them. So clownfish, when living among them, the clownfish getting benefited, but the sea anemone get not benefited, not harmed. So zero interaction for the sea anemone, and for the clownfish it is a okay. It is particularly we can say the zero plus interaction for the clownfish. Okay, so such as the examples of the we can say the commensalism, and that we have discussed, which is a plus zero interaction. Now at last we are moving to the last interaction, that is amensalism. And when we talk about the amensalism, it is a minus zero interaction. It is a minus zero interaction. And this minus zero interaction, if we talk, then minus means it is neither it is getting harmed, and zero means it is neither getting benefited nor getting harmed. So it is an interaction between two organisms of different species, in which one species inhibit the growth of the other species by secreting certain chemicals. Okay, so inhibit the growth of other species by secreting certain chemicals. Okay, so suppose if we take an example of one particular bacteria, it is releasing some one antibiotic, and that antibiotic get harmed, particularly harming the another one. Okay, so here if suppose one particular organism is secreting antibiotic, then that antibiotic is going to harm the another organism, then it is a harming the another one, so it is harmful for the one species, but it is neither beneficial nor harmful for the another one. So this phenomena of inhibition of the growth of one species by the other species through the secretion of certain chemicals, it is also termed as allelopathy in plants, or antibiosis, or biological antagonism. It is also termed like this. Okay, so here one species inhibit the growth of other species. One species is getting harmed, one species is neither beneficial not getting harmed. So if we take some example of this evident examples of this microorganism, then the first example which we are going to take this is the penicillin. And if we talk about penicillium, penicillium secrete a penicillin. Penicillin is an antibiotic that inhibits the growth of a large number of bacteria. So it is harmful for the bacteria. Okay, so many bacteria getting harmed. There is a minus interaction. But for penicillium, it is neither beneficial nor harm. So similarly, different species of streptomyces are there. Streptomyces are actinomycetes bacteria, which is actinomycetes, a bacteria, eubacteria, that produce a wide range of chemicals which inhibit the growth of the other bacteria, and some of which cause a various disease in human beings. Okay, such they cause a particular various disease in the human being. So if they are producing antibiotic, the antibiotic producing organism has neither beneficial nor harmful effects, so it is a zero interaction for them. But on which this chemical interact or affect that organism has a minus interaction. So such chemical isolated from this microorganism thus named as antibiotics for causing various diseases caused by the for curing various diseases caused by the bacteria by killing this bacteria. Because of this, we take antibiotic when we have some bacterial infections. Second example is inhibition of the growth of one species by organism of other species observed in higher plant as well. And if we take example of this, the root of black nut, that is black walnut, that is Zuglans nigra, okay, that secrete a chemical zugulon, which is toxic to other plant like apple and alfalfa. Okay, so this particular thing is showing that the one plant is secreting a chemical which is inhibiting the growth of the another plant. And same for a convolvulus arvensis is also the particular inhibiting the growth of the wheat. So here also it is showing a particularly we can say the what plus and zero interaction. Sorry, minus and zero interaction. So this is also showing an example of amensalism. Okay. So this is all the particular features of the mutualism, protocooperation, commensalism, and we can say the amensalism, and that is all about the what particular interactions. Okay. Now after interaction, I want to make you to understand some things which are also asked in exam, and that is a specific not given in NCERT, but I want to make you to understand this topic, and that is R selection and K selection. Okay, so please note point, this is a not with respect to interaction, but these are the some of the behaviors, and in this first we are going to talk about the R selection. Okay, so R selection, if we talk, when there is an environmental instability or unpredictability, when there is when there is a environmental instability or unpredictability, it favors quick reproduction, favors quick reproduction, and allow useful competitive adaptations. Means if there is a environmental instability or unstable environment is there, or unpredictable environment is there, then what will happen to improve their population, to increase their number, what they will allow, this they will favor a quick reproduction and trying to increase their number and competitively allowing them to develop adaptation, and in that if their number get increases they will competitively be better than the other one and they will get selected and they will survive. Such thing happens when there is environmental instability. So in this R selection, the traits that are getting adapted or favored in R selection, so traits that are thought to be selected under in R selection are high fecundity. Fecundity means increase in the number of organisms, small body size, early maturity, short generation time, and wide offspring dispersion. Wide offspring dispersion. So, if their body size is higher, it is possibility that they will survive in this unfavorable condition. If they are high fecundity, means a large number of offspring they are produced, then also competitively might be they are superior to the other species and they can survive. If they early mature, then it is also that the particular next generation will be easily available. Short generation time will also increase this thing, and wide offspring dispersion means they disperse to the different habitats, so they will survive in a better way. So the organism whose life history is subject to this R selection are often referred as R strategist or R selected. So organism which undergo R selection are strategists or are selected. And if we talk about the example of this R strategist or R selected organism, then they can range from bacteria and items, and items, bacteria and items. So bacteria and items are the examples. Then if we take another examples, then insects and weed, bacteria and items to insects and weeds to mammals, particularly small rodents. Okay, this all are going to show the R selection when there is a unfavorable condition or environmental instability. But when there is a favorable condition or predictable environment, then the case selection will occur. So when there is a case selection, then it is known that in stable or predictable environment, when there is a stable or a predictable environment, case selection predominates, and in stable and predictable environment, the ability to compete for limited resources is crucial. Okay, and here the case selected organism typically very constant and close to maximum that environment can bear. So when there is a stable environment or a particular predictable environment, we know that this much resources are there. Then this much organism can survive. Okay. So maximum that can be environment can be that we know. Whereas in R selected, what we have studied that population size can change very much more effectively. That certain increase can be shown. So the traits of case selected organism include traits or character of case selected organism include large body size, okay. Then in R selection it was small body size, long life expectancy, means it is expected that they will long life, production of fewer organisms, and which often require extensive parental care until they mature and need parental care to the offsprings. So such evolution occur in this case selection when there is a predictable environment. And the organism which show case selection are known as K strategists or K selected. And here the examples of K selected organism include large organism like elephants, humans, whales, but also some small long-lived organisms that are also some small long-lived organism that is Arctic terns. And after this, the next we talk that is the altruistic behavior. The third type of interaction which we can study here that is altruistic behavior. And this altruistic behavior, it is a self sacrificial behavior for the herd or community of an individual or small number of individuals. So whole population or whole community is not going to be lost. And to protect this whole community, if there is something unwanted changes there, then that time some of them will sacrifice them to protect this whole community. Then it is known as self sacrificial behavior, and it is also known as altruistic behavior, and it is seen in spotted deer, ants, and honeybee. Okay, so that is all about the population interaction and some of the selection processes by the nature environmental factors that we have discussed, and that is all about the what population interaction, and that is all about the organism and population chapter. Okay, I hope you understood well, and that is all about what this. Thank you.